Elder Care Committee, July 22nd, 2019. I'd like to start with approving the minutes of the previous meeting. We have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that motion carries. Current business, number one, Commissioner Takata. Would you like to sit at the... Okay.
I don't feel like I'm part of the crowd when you make me sit down there. Make me feel like I'm on the opposite team.
Join me.
All right. So, agenda item number one.
Authorizing agreement New York State Office of funding for the support services. No brainer. No brainer.
Would you like to?
You want to read it? Who's reading it? You read them.
Number one, authorizing an agreement with the New York State Office for the Aging regarding funding for the Supportive Services Program.
Thank you. So this is, the Department for Aging is submitting authorization for grant acceptance for 13 grants that we get from NYSOFA, and the first one is supportive services. The supportive services that come in through NYSOFA that we contract out are adult day care, legal, and in-home contact and support.
I make a motion to accept it.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number two, authorizing an agreement with the New York State Office for the Aging regarding funding for the Congregate Meals Program.
This is our congregate meal grant that will this will be the funding for our 5 congregate meal providers that will contract with later this year. So once we get the grant acceptance that you'll authorize tonight, we will be coming back and getting contract authorization.
Okay, thank you.
I'll do that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Number three, authorizing an agreement with the New York State Office for the Aging regarding funding for the Home Delivered Meals Program.
Again, this is authorizing us to accept the money from NYSOFA for our home delivered meal providers. Currently, we have 3 of them.
Who are they?
There's Peter Young Industries, SSA, Radina.
Senior Services of Albany, SSA.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Number 4, authorizing an agreement with the New York State Office for the Aging regarding funding for the Medication Management Program.
This is our grant funding that will support our 3D evidence-based programs. And presently this summer, we will be issuing an RFP that will go out to the community this summer, and we'll get proposals back from it. So we don't have contractors right now. This year, some of the programs that we have had in the past are stress-busting programs, Tai Chi, dining with diabetes. So things of that nature will be out in the community. There's a list that NYSOFA sends out that will attach to the RFP that will list the appropriate programs that will be reimbursable.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee?
Make a motion.
Motion, a second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Number 5, authorizing an agreement with the New York State Office for the Aging regarding funding for the Elder Caregiver Support Program.
This is basically our caregiver, this is our 3E grant money that comes in and supports our 5 contracts that were our renewals this year, and that supports our grandparenting, our respite care, counseling, and information and assistance for caregivers.
A question?
Yes, the previous grants that are listed here show a 90-10 split for the funding. This is 75-25.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
Well, the grant funding for 3E caregivers is that split, where the others are 90-10. The 3B is 90-10, and the food, both the in-home and the congregate meals are 90-10 split.
Can you give us an idea as to when you anticipate receiving these grants?
It'll be immediate. We'll go under contract. The next thing you'll see is that once you approve these accept grant fundings, we will come the next time in the fall, and we will go under contract. Either they'll come through the ledge, because they'll be over $100,000, or they'll go to CAP and get approved through CAP.
All right, so sometime in the fall, you expect to receive the actual funding for the program?
Yep.
Thank you.
These are all, this funding is going for the 2020 contract year.
Understood, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I see here where it says that, let me see, how do people qualify for this program? How do the caregivers qualify? It says based on their circumstances and needs. What does that mean?
Well, it's open to, as far as the 3E caregivers qualifying, it's open to, anyone that's over 60 that's getting cared for by someone that's either under 60 or over 60. So caregiver services could be anything from respite care. It could be adult day services where, someone needing just a little bit of time where they're going to work could drop off their loved ones to an social adult day program. There's also 3E would be for grandparenting, where if you're a grandparent and you're raising a grandchild, you would be qualified for that. So basically 60 plus over, and the care receiver would be 60 plus over and would be an Albany County resident, and you could be as the caregiver under 60 and receive these services.
And they could be referred to us through New York Connects.
So that's how they have to go through New York Connects?
They don't have to.
They don't have to.
Okay, so
They could.
how do they get these services?
Well, if they call into us, we would refer them to New York Connects, because that's basically what starts the process. New York Connects was set up to kind of like funnel through calls and start the case. And then what would happen is a casegiver would go out and do, a kind of like a review.
An intake.
It's through New York Connects. You
That
said
starts the process. If somebody called the office and they said that, that they had somebody, we would then give that name to New York Connects, because we need the caseworker to be able to go there and assess the situation. So that's what sparks the process.
New York Connects.
It really starts there.
What about us as legislators reach out to our constituents? Does that work that way too? If we go out to our constituents and tell them about this service, does that start it off too?
Yeah, sure, anybody.
That's what I'm getting at, yeah. So
everybody, yeah.
this is what she's talking about, is
Yeah.
what we do too.
Yeah, so if you, I mean,
It's a no-brainer, yes.
Right, it's a no-brainer.
Referrals.
They just need to call the office. And we'll take care of it. We'll take care of it.
Einstein's.
Any other questions?
Make a motion.
There's a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you. Number 6, authorizing the acceptance of grant funding from the New York State Office for the Aging and an agreement with the Albany County Department of Social Services regarding the expanded in-home services for the elderly program.
This one is, we're asking you to do 2 things tonight, and that is because our ISIP services coming from NYSOFA are all going into one contract over to our MOU with DSS, we're asking you to approve the MOU as well as accepting the money for ISIP. So these are our ISIP services.
Are you saying to go to Department of Social Services as well as to your department?
We'll be the pass-through.
No, you'd be the pastor?
Yep.
Okay.
So DSS handles case management for us, and then sends us the vouchers, we reimburse them.
Is it going to be on the social service agenda also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So even if we pass it, they might not?
Well,
Just to clarify, this is only on the elder care.
It's on the elder care committee only? Okay, he said it's only on one committee.
Mr. Knight.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I noticed on this, the county share is 51%
Yes,
and the state share is 49%.
yes.
Is that a formula-driven
Yes.
situation?
Yes, that was given to us by our fiscal director. It depends on where the money, how the money comes in and falls as far as carryover and things of that nature.
So can one assume that this is the same for all counties that are involved in this program?
Not necessarily.
Okay. So what differentiates one county from another as far as what they have to pay to match the program?
That I'm not aware of. I'm not aware of that.
I don't know that either.
Thanks, thank you.
Any other questions? There's a motion and
Second.
a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries, thank you. Number 7, authorizing the acceptance of grant funding from the New York State Office for the Aging regarding the Community Services for the Elderly program.
This grant is our CSE grant, and this is a state grant that it supports our 3B, 3C1, and 3C2 grant funding. The majority of this goes to our transportation contract, but it also funds congregate meals, home-delivered meals, social adult day programs, as well as legal.
Make a motion.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. Number 8, authorizing the acceptance of grant funding from the New York State Office for the Aging and an agreement with the Albany County Department of Social Services regarding the Wellness Nutrition Program.
This is a grant funding that we're asking you to do the same thing as ISA, is to approve accepting the WIN grant as well as approving the MOU with DSS. And this is the case management for home delivery meals.
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. Number 9, authorizing the acceptance of grant funding from the New York State Office for the Aging regarding unmet need and amending the 2019 Department for Aging budget.
That was money that was, we didn't anticipate this money. The governor passed it in January and added $15 million to the budget, to the ISA budget for unmet needs. We came in at $330,000 that we were going to get as a result of that. And so we're asking you to accept the money.
And that's 100% state funding.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. That was number 9. Number 10, authorizing the acceptance of grant funding from the New York State Office for the Aging regarding the Health Insurance Information, Counseling, and Assistance Program.
This is accepting the grant money for our HICAP program. We have the contract with SSA, which is known as LifePath. They handle all of that for us through phone calls and information and assistance. So, the HICAP program is for health insurance information for older adults in the community when they have problems with their Medicaid and their prescription drug coverage.
Any questions? There's a motion and a second. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a question.
Okay. I see here where it says, to help them make informed decisions when choosing the correct Medicare supplemental program. Who do they call to get this information from?
They call over to LifePath, and there is a person over there that's a HICAP certified, trained person that would be able to handle these types of questions. Now, if someone also called in through our New York Connects line, they would be able to handle somewhat of that through that line or refer to it to a person that we have on staff that can handle those questions also.
So are they calling the county or are they calling the state?
No, they're not calling the
They're not
state,
calling
they're
the state.
calling into the county, or they're calling into LifePath, which is formerly SSA.
What's the telephone number?
I don't know it offhand.
We could certainly send that over to council.
46555.
Send it
I think
over.
that's it.
So we'll get that information.
Yes.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries, thank you. Number 11, authorizing the acceptance of grant funding from the New York State Office for the Aging regarding the AAA State Transportation Program.
This is the grant fund, we're asking you to accept the grant for transportation. This goes towards our contract with CDTA. It provides our transportation for our older adults in the county.
There's a motion. A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries, thank you. Number 12, authorizing the acceptance of grant funding from the New York State Office for the Aging regarding the Congregate Services Initiative Program.
This is grant funding that NYSOFA gives to us that we're asking to accept. This funds programs that we put out an RFQ for this annually, and our congregate meal providers send in quotes that kind of, what we're trying to do is give the older adult that goes to our congregate meal programs kind of like an experience, a cultural experience or an educational experience, something that will kind of like make them feel a little bit more independent in the community as well as knowledge at gaining.
Any questions?
Motion.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Finally, number 13, authorizing the acceptance of grant funding from the New York State Office for the Aging and an agreement with the Albany County Department of Social Services regarding the New York Connects Expansion and Enhancement Program.
This is our grant funding that we get from NYSOFA, that we have an MOU with DSS that they administer the New York Connects program.
There's a motion?
Second.
Second?
And before we adjourn, that question. Go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And before we adjourn,
Yes, the restaurant program,
Yes.
okay? Could you give us some information on that?
I believe you
As
did.
well as how someone does or does not qualify, and if it's in writing somewhere.
Is it in writing somewhere? This is, the restaurant program is an extension of the congregate meals program. We use as a registration form, the same form that we use for the congregate meals. On that form is a question regarding income. Is that the only thing? No. But we've tried to respond to the needs of seniors who are at least within 150% of the poverty line. How did we do that? We did sign-ups in the beginning at different places, at independent living centers, where we knew people met that criteria. It was only after the rollout of the press that, then the whole community at large has been jamming up our phones to the point where they actually broke down and we had to get our phones repaired because we couldn't take the volume of calls that we were taking. So we're now, because we had intended, when we share this grant with Erie County, they're the lead agent on the grant, so we kind of follow their lead in whatever they've done. We use their dietitian to approve the meals that the restaurants are doing. The restaurants have been great about making alterations to fit that need. We have decided at this point, where we were only going to take 300 people, that we now will take 1,200 people, retaining 100 who will go through the whole year so that we can have a cohort for a study. We're going to be able to take 1,200 because the need, obviously the need is out there. That's what we've already learned. The need is there. We want to be able to do something for as many people as we can who've called the office. So we're now working through blocks of time so that 400 people will do a third of the year, 400 will do a third, and 400 will do the last third. Retaining the 100 people for the whole year so that we can do the study at the end for the research. So we are accepting applications. We urge people to respond by sending it back, whether they're within 150% of the poverty line or not. But we have given preference to those who are within 150% of the poverty line.
What's the poverty line?
Poverty line for 150% is about $18,000 for a single person. I think about 24 something for a couple, I think.
So now, you said independent living centers, so people still living at home, they were not part of the initial group?
No, because we wouldn't know, no, we started out, this is where we started out. We went to independent centers and started out there because we knew that group was going to meet the criteria. Now, is it balanced? No, because now we've got more people who don't live in independent centers who have responded and gotten onto the program.
So you have...
And it's a pilot program, it's a demonstration project.
So you have, you said it is and it isn't income?
It is and it isn't.
Okay, so who makes the decision? How's it?
Like I said, when we get the applications, we take those who are within 150% of the poverty line first, and then we put in the others.
So, okay.
I mean, we want to be able to respond to everybody. I mean, the thing is that it shows a need, because we had somebody who came through the other day. It happened to be somebody that I knew financially had means. However, what I didn't know in that conversation with that person, as I was explaining the income line, was that he had now been diagnosed with an illness that now takes $3,000 for one drug that he pays out of pocket every month. So this is somebody who is somewhat homebound, somebody who needs to get out and to be with people, and this was an opportunity. This was a financial thing that I didn't know about that person.
As this is a pilot program, this is something...
It's a pilot program.
These are programs that the questions that you have, we will take into consideration as we move forward with this program. We know that it's something that is of need, and it is a desire of the community. But to answer your questions as we move forward with the study of this program, we'll be able to answer this and create a best case scenario.
Okay, so I really can't, the big issue with this, I do recall when it first came, to the table. Okay, I recall. And I recall when we voted on it, all of that. But when it came out, being so unaware of, the initial, startup of the program, and we were inundated. I know I was. And then, the issue with people not being able to get through and so forth and so on, okay? And then getting drips and drabs of information as to how someone qualified, and they didn't qualify, and how the restaurants can or cannot still become a part of the, the group of restaurants that would be able to participate. And is that the case, that restaurants still can participate?
Restaurants still can participate if you have one. Do you have somebody who they've called us. We've responded to anybody who's called us. If they have, there were 3 other restaurants that called. We gave them the information, but now have not heard back. This is not a money-making proposition for restaurants. These are folks who are in business, who want to do something for the community and be part of the community and be part of that good. And I think that's the part that you need to look at. It's not a money-making proposition.
I don't think I meant money-making. I think that it's the information part, giving people an opportunity to know about it. And so
Well, so far, we haven't refused anybody, so, people just keep forwarding names to us. We keep calling them. I know I'm on the phone last week, every night until 10, calling people back. So people are getting phone calls back. Are they getting them the same day? Sometimes not. But if they email, they get an email within 2 minutes. Because that's how quick I am with the email.
How many restaurants you got involved now?
We've got 11.
11 involved now?
Mr. Kraus, did you have a question?
You mentioned 300 initially,
Yeah.
and now 1,200. Are you staffed to handle
It's kind of...
that increase? How do you handle that?
Well, they're not coming to our office.
No, but I mean, you mentioned that communication-wise, you were having problems, and now you're going from 3 to 1,200?
Yeah. And that's why, because we've gotten swamped with so many calls, and we don't want to turn anybody away. I mean, we could have capped it and said, you know, I'm sorry, we're already at capacity.
I understand that. I think
But,
it's
so we've been
part of
making the
passion.
calls.
But my question is, how are you handling receiving that many calls? Are you staffed to do that? Can you handle that?
Well, we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're doing
Probably not
it.
staff, but
Everybody
we are.
is
It's
taking it
getting
on
done.
as an initiative, because it's part of the whole group, not just one person being responsible, and we're down staff, so.
Does any of the grant funding cover that administrative cost for you? Any part?
I think, I
Have to look at it.
gotta look at that, because
I
I
don't remember the
don't,
original grant application, I'd have to get that back.
I'm not the person who wrote the grant, so I can't say that to you.
I'd be interested in knowing that. Or if we're going to see in this upcoming budget, a request for funds to handle that part of the process.
To augment that.
Sorry. All right, thank you.
How many more restaurants could you accept?
How many more would I accept? Well, we're at 11, whoever calls, I mean,
Whoever calls.
you know, yeah. well,
Say no cap on it.
There's really no cap on that. I mean, you know, I went to a restaurant the other day that had called that would not be appropriate for this program. So, you know, it's something that we would have to see. I mean, it's really got to be accessible to seniors. I mean, it can't be an incline like this that you expect people with walkers to, you know, to be able to get up that incline.
But
And-
you want to also keep in mind too, that it's a pilot program with $250,000.
Right.
So, and it's only lasting until August of next year. So the more restaurants you have, the more this will get saturated and completed quickly.
All right,
Yes,
thank
well,
you.
Well, it's going pretty good because you've been well accepted so far. A lot of good reports.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's what we've learned already. That we are, you know, that the need is, there's a big need out there.
Definitely.
And there's the other part of it, and I think this is really important to say, probably because I'm a boomer. But you know, doing business the old way with old senior centers and congregate meal sites, boomers aren't going there. That's not the way they do it, you know? And so you need a new way to look at aging.
Commissioner, thank you. Maybe we can follow up at the next meeting, and maybe you can have some more information for us. Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hang on.